AM 1460, the new WXBR. You are listening to the Metro South Morning Show, PM in the AM. Peter Czymbor here with you on this Friday morning. Coming to the Hampton Beach Casino in Hampton Beach, New Hampshire on June the 18th, and the House of Blues in Boston on June the 19th is the Summerland 2014 tour featuring Everclear, Eve 6, and Soul Asylum. Tickets are on sale actually in just a few hours this morning at 10 a.m. And here with me to discuss this via the telephone is the lead singer and founder of Everclear, Mr. Art Alexakis. Art, good morning and welcome to the program.
Good morning, Peter. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. It's very fitting that we have you on this program for the first time because we have used the Everclear song AM Radio here and there as bumper music in and out of breaks because it proves that AM radio does not have to suck.
Man, I don't know about you, but I grew up with AM radio, and AM radio was cool, and I still think AM radio is cool. I listen to a lot of talk radio on AM radio depending on what city I'm in. I'm one of those guys that likes both terrestrial radio and satellite radio. I listen to both. It depends on who's got the goods, you know?
I'd like to think that we have the goods this morning because we have you on the program.
Oh, there you go. I feel good about that.
We're chatting with Art Alexakis of Everclear here in WXBR. Summerland Tour 2014 coming to the area this summer. How did this Summerland Tour get started? Because I believe you had a large part to do with it being a tour to begin with. It's sort of a nostalgia tour of a lot of bands that populated rock and alternative rock radio in the 1990s, and year out, Everclear is the headliner. What made you see the market demand that was out there for a tour of this caliber?
Well, to be honest with you, everybody, well, not everybody, but a lot of people have been talking about doing something like this for years, and finally I was just waiting for the time to be right, and about 3 or 4 years ago, I called some friends of mine to see if they'd be into doing it, and one of the guys that was into doing it was Mark McGrath from Sugar Ray, who's a great guy, and wanted to do it with us, and we picked some bands, and we went out in 2012 and did the first one. Actually, the very first Summerland was a tour that we did back in 1996, because Summerland was a song on our album Sparkling Fates, which had Santa Monica, which was a big hit off that. But we did Summerland was one of the songs, and we named it Summerland. And the bands that very first year in 1996 were L7, not L7, it was a band out of Seattle, all-girl band, I forget the name, that long ago. But one of the bands that did it with us is a great band. It's called Spagehog. And Spagehog this year is the first band. You didn't mention them, but I do believe they're playing Boston for sure. I think they're playing Hampton Beach. So the lineup goes, just for everybody to get it right, is Everclear, then Soul Asylum is right before us, then Eve 6, then Spagehog. So yeah, it is kind of a nostalgia tour, but one of the things that's different about one of the prerequisites that I have for this tour is that you got to be a real band still making music. You got to still be making albums. You got to be touring. You got to be a real band. Not just playing the hits and phoning in the performance, which a lot of bands from different generations do. So that's one of the differences I think there is. You know, there's a real thing. These are people who are still writing songs, still putting it out there every day.
In verification, Spagehog will be on the tour June 18th in New Hampshire and the 19th in Boston. We're chatting with Art Alexakis of Everclear. You mentioned that when you first decided to begin this tour, you called up Mark McGrath of Sugar Ray. We had Steve Harwell of Smash Mouth on the show just a few months back when they were in town doing a show with Sugar Ray in a tour that was somewhat similar in a presentation and a nostalgic feel to the Summerland tour. At some point, you guys parted ways, but it seems like you guys are all cool.
Well, I'm cool. I don't know about them, but I'm cool with it. Yeah, it didn't really work for me. It was getting a little too poppy. And then the next year, you know, I told Mark I wanted to do my own thing with Summerland, and I wanted it to be a more rock thing. So last year, the year after we did it with Sugar Ray, I did Summerland alternative guitars with the band live and Filter and Sponge, and it was super exciting. And they did... I think they call it the Under the Sun Tour, and it was Sugar Ray, Jim Blossoms, Smash Mouth, and a couple other smaller bands, like I think Vertical Horizon was the band. I forget. But, yeah, and I think they did okay. It's rough out there, and you asked me the main reason for doing this, to me, is to give people value. You know, low ticket, a lot of music, It reminds me of the alternative station radio shows back in the 90s, where you'd have like 12 bands and they all come out and play like 5, 6 songs, and that's all you get. You get the hits, a couple new songs, call it a day. The sessions for us are a little bit longer. Our sets are longer, but they're pretty short still, you know? I mean, we've got the longest set because we're headlining. It's 45 minutes. So you got time for all the hits, a couple new songs, a couple fan favorites, done. And I think it keeps, what I've heard from people is it just keeps people exciting, and all you hear is hits, you know? All you're hearing is hit songs. So it's fun. It's a sing-along. And I think that's really fun for everybody when they can be involved, too, when they feel like they're invested.
Now, how has the landscape for touring bands in the summer, particularly rock bands, changed since, say, the 1990s? Because I remember the days where summer would come and you knew that the Ozfest was coming, which was a metal festival. Lollapalooza was going to come around. That was an alternative rock festival. Warped Tour was coming around, which was a punk rock festival, which still exists in some form, but it's not quite a punk rock festival in the way it used to be. How has the landscape for touring changed for rock bands, say, in the past 10, 15 years?
Well, let's look at it realistically. I mean, more time has gone by, so there's many more rock bands. There's still the 70s rock bands that were around in the 80s. Rock bands now, you got all those knuckleheads from the 90s and the 2000s still around, still making music, and there's still people that want to hear it. But the point is that there's so much competition for your concert dollar. And let's be realistic about it. We're coming out of the worst recession of this last, probably since the Great Depression, you know, and people are holding on to their money. There's recovery, but there's still, people are very tight and specific about what they spend their money on. So that's my whole thing, is give people as much value as possible. 3-hour show, low ticket, bunch of bands that you maybe grew up with or dug, bunch of great rock bands that are going to just be very exciting to watch. And it's, to me, that's a great night out. But you know how it is. You go to a concert, you're not just paying for the ticket, man. You're paying for parking. You're paying for a babysitter. You're paying for dinner. You're paying for a T-shirt. You're paying for beer. You know, you're into it for a couple $100 easy. So you got to make it count. And I appreciate that. You know, I'm a guy with a daughter in college and another daughter in Montessori school. So, you know, a large part of my paycheck goes to paying for kids' schools right now.
What do the kids think of what their dad does, say, when the VH1 Behind the Music on Everclear pops up, or Everclear video pops up on, say, VH1 Classic or something like that? What do they think of it when they see Dad on MTV from 10, 15 years ago?
What do they think of it, or what do they tell me what they think?
I want both answers. What do they think, and what do they tell you they think? Because you might know what they think, even though they don't say it.
Well, let's start with my 6-year-old. My 6-year-old is just super proud, and we'll go around going, "My daddy's a rock star. He's in Everclear. You've heard of Everclear." She'll start singing songs. She's just not a shy child at all. She just she'll go up to anyone in the room, like an adult or anyone. "Hi, I'm Arizona. What's your name?" And blah 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 blah. And just start talking. She's just, my eldest daughter, who's 22, almost 22, goes to Sarah Lawrence. Is going to go to Ivy League law school next year. Different personality, much more subtle. But, you know, she grew up with, this is what her daddy did. Other people's dads sell insurance or work at factories or lawyers or doctors. Her daddy plays guitar in a rock band, has a bunch of tattoos. You know, so I think at times, you know, she's kind of embarrassed by it. I don't know if she'd admit it, because she goes to a fancy school in upstate New York, and, you know, there's, you know, she's going to school with billionaires' kids. So I don't know. I assume she might have some issues with it, but openly, I think she digs it. And my 6-year-old, my biggest fan, and will kick you in the teeth if you don't like my band.
It's a fun 6-year-old kicking people in the teeth who doesn't like Everclear.
Well, you know, you got to have that somewhere in your life, right? Loyalty's worth something.
Absolutely.
Even for a 6-year-old.
We're chatting with Art Alexakis of Everclear here on WXBR, talking about the Summerland 2014 tour, Everclear, Eve 6, Soul Asylum, and Spagehog. Of course, you mentioned earlier that when you started the Summerland tour, it was with Sugar Ray, and you went in a different direction with subsequent versions of the Summerland tour. You wanted a more heavier rock and feel, where Sugar Ray continued on with the same style of tour and presentation and nostalgia with the 90s, but it was with a lot more of the lighter rock bands of the era like Smash Mouth and Vertical Horizon, as you mentioned. What do you look for when it comes time to put this tour together for the summer? This year you've got Eve 6, Soul Asylum, and Spagehog. What is it about these bands that made you choose them to essentially be your opening acts?
Honestly, I'm fans of these bands. That's what it comes down to. And I think I've got pretty good taste in music. And if I like these bands, I think other people are going to like them. There's always been bands that are really popular, but not necessarily bands I like. I respect them, but it's not bands that I would like turn to and listen to their music. All the bands that I picked for Summerland are bands I listened to. The only year that wasn't true was the year with Sugar Ray. Even though I like Sugar Ray, there was another band on there that they wanted that I didn't want, and it just made it not fun for me. Not that I'm a spoiled brat. It's got to be, you've got to have enthusiasm in whatever you do. If you don't have it, it's going to seem disingenuous. Genuine, it's going to seem fake. You know, you can't sell fake, and I don't want to sell fake. I want to come out every night. I host the show. I want to come out every night with enthusiasm and fire for what's going on. I did it last year, and I know I'm going to do it this year. So I hope people come out and check it out, because it really is special. It's a lot of fun.
I think we're hearing a lot of people typing into their computers right now, Googling the 2012 Summerland lineup. Who did you not like on the bill that year? Who did you not want on the bill, and for what reason?
I'm not saying that.
Okay. Well, people are Googling right now. They're going to try to put 2 and 2 together. Hopefully they don't get 5. I'm just letting you know.
I don't care.
All right, we're chatting with Art Alexakis here on AM 1460, the new WXBR of Everclear. You mentioned another part of the criteria for a band to play as a part of this tour is they still have to be legitimate bands, still making music and still out there touring. You know, you mentioned it earlier, a lot of bands kind of tour once a year simply for the sake of touring, and they're not actively working towards putting out new music or touring year-round. Everclear, Eve 6, Soul Asylum, Spagehog, always working towards music. Every few years you'll see a new album, you think?
Brother, I'm in the studio right now. When you called right now, I was just listening to the playback of a song that the 7th song that we just recorded for our new record. We got 4 more songs to go, maybe 5, if we write another song. So I'm in the studio in Pennsylvania right now, making a new record. And I know Soul Asylum records it every other year, and I know Eve 6 just made a phenomenal record, not last year, but the year before. And I know that Max, the lead singer, put out a solo record, or it's coming out now. But these are musicians. These are people making music. Spagehog hasn't toured for 11 years. They went in the studio. They're making a new record. These are real bands. That's what's exciting about it. And it's not just Mark McGrath's tour or anything, but like last year, the year before when we did Summerland, when I did Summerland the first year, because I went to him and said I wanted to do this thing called Summerland. Actually, it was called something else, and then I came up with the name Summerland, and he loved it. We were the only one out there of the 90s bands. This year, or last year rather, including Under the Sun, there were like 4 other tours. So that were 90s, and God knows how many it's going to be this year. So, you know, it's then again, it's all about value and all about what you like and what you don't like. And I respect all the bands that are out there. Even if I don't like them, I respect them and enjoy them, and I think they're awesome. Just not my thing. And I have to believe in it if I'm going to put my name on it and put my spirit behind it, you know? I think everything should be done like that. It would make the world a lot more interesting if everything was done with enthusiasm.
Now, you mentioned Everclear is currently in the studio working towards new music. When can we expect this to be released, and how can we expect this to be released? Because let's face it, the way in which people are consuming recorded music circa 2014, much different from, say, when Sparkle and Fade came out.
Oh, 100%. Back then, the album was everything. Everything revolved around the album. Now, the album is just a tool for touring. That's why people tour. I get it. That's how you make your money. You're not making it from publishing. You're not making it from album sales. You're making it from playing shows. That's how you're making your living. So I respect that. This album, I'm not even sure. I mean, we've had offers from major labels. I don't know that I want to put it on a major label. I might put it on a big subsidiary and work to radio. It's super rock record, big guitars. It's like the most rock record since Sparkle and Fade. So much for the Afterglow. I'm recording it like I did those. Even though there's 5 guys that play with me, just me and the bass player and the drummer in the studio. So I'm doing all the guitars like I used to. I'll bring my guitar player in for all the leads and the stuff I can't do, and maybe the keyboard player for some stuff. But this is a pretty stripped down rock record. So I hope to have a single ready by for radio by the 1st of May, and have the album. I don't want the album to drop till maybe September, but I want to sell it at the tourist downloads, and people can get a single. And if you buy into the VIP for this, you'll get a copy of our greatest hits that I put together. It's called 10 Years Gone, the best of Everclear, and a download of the new record. So you'll get some old Everclear and some new Everclear, and that'll be part of the VIP, or you can buy that at the merch booth. So there's going to be all sorts of stuff like that going on. And I hope to have a single online and maybe a bonus track online that people can hear through the summer. So when the album actually drops in September, it'll have a story behind it and have some momentum. Like you said, it ain't like it used to be. There's no $500,000 marketing budget. There is for the big bands, but not for everybody else.
You mentioned that cool. Albums these days are promotional tools for touring, whereas it seemed that wasn't the case 10 years ago. It was actually a complete 180. Touring was out there to support an album. It seems like record labels have almost gotten hip to that. And you mentioned that you're unsure if you want Everclear even signed to a major label at this point, despite the fact you guys are getting offers. It seems like a lot of the time these days, record labels are offering bands deals, but that deal doesn't just include them distributing their music. They get a piece of the pie when it comes to touring, T-shirts, merchandise, the whole 9 yards. Is that why you're thinking to yourself, we've already got a brand name established, why would we do this?
Well, this is an aspect. Well, the reason why you do it is because you're working with really great professionals at a major label. And since there's so few labels left, all the labels have the cream of the crop of people. So they're working with great people. They know what they're doing. They've got the network. They've got money. They can really work the record if they get behind it. It's like it was in the old days. If someone there is super enthusiastic, there's that word again, enthusiasm. If someone's enthusiastic about it up high in the company, and you're going to get some momentum on your record, it's going to get a chance. And I still feel that's the case. But what you're talking about is what they call 360 deals for participation, which is a subtly clever, sly word, which basically means that the labels, when they sign you, get a piece of your publishing and a piece of your touring forever. Forever. Even after your contract is gone. That's how that works. So actually, the people that we've been talking to are offering, we're talking pretty cool deals. There's no participation going on because I was pretty upfront about it that that's just not going to happen. I can't afford it. I don't see how bands can. It's just, it's. I guess I'm just from a different time. For younger bands, I guess they don't mind. It's just part of it. It's part of the deal. Part of being on a label. So they just look at it that way. For me, no way. I'm too old and curmudgeonly.
Well, that's
even a word.
Curmudgeonly? I like that word. I think that's a word. If not, we invented it. I like that word. I use the word curmudgeon quite a bit here on the airwaves.
Well, curmudgeon is a good word. Yeah, ne'er-do-well. Curmudgeon kind of, a little archaic, but it kind of works, especially if it's from Boston, huh?
It works for us. We just described one of our on-air staff as a curmudgeon earlier this week on the program. That's Art Alexakis of Everclear joining us here in WXBR. Summerland 2014, June 18th at the Hampton Beach Casino, June 19th at the House of Blues in Boston. Tickets go on sale later on this morning. Art, before I let you go, what is your favorite song that you have ever written? Because you just go through the Everclear catalog. I like this song, I like this song, I love this song. There's a lot of great songs you've written, and I think that you deserve some credit as being one of the preeminent songwriters of rock music of the 1990s. What is your favorite song you've ever written?
Well, thank you for saying that.
And I mean that, by the way. I don't just say that to anyone we interview. I actually do sincerely mean that.
Are you aware that there's a school in actually Pasadena where I live in Los Angeles, called the Los Angeles College of Music. It's been around for about 20 years. It's not on the level of, say, Berklee College of Music, but it's on the way to being there. They're really, really great. And last year I became the head of their new songwriting department. And so we're going to start giving out degrees in songwriting.
So you're a college professor to some degree at this point. You're a college professor.
Which is very interesting, considering I didn't finish college. But yeah, absolutely. I'm going to teach people what I do, and I'm going to help them. You know, I mean, anyone can teach you the rudiments of songwriting and how working a song and stuff, but the whole thing is the creative aspect and ways of unlocking that in yourself and bringing it out of your heart and your head and putting it into something real. So, with that being said, I don't know. You asked me to pick between my children, which is very hard to do. But I'd have to say a song I wrote back in 1999 called Learning How to Smile. Oh, I want my favorite song.
Learning How to Smile. I'll tell you this right now, Art. If I were to make a list of songs that I wish I wrote, Santa Monica would be on the list top 5. And I have to say, recently, I heard the song Wonderful from Everclear. And to be truthful with you, at the time that came out, you know, I was a teenager. I was like, Everclear's gone a little soft. This isn't as heavy as I liked. I heard it recently. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was just perfect. So
it's funny how you grow up and things are a little different. Huh?
Yeah, you go back and listen to that song like that. That's a really nice, heartwarming, fun song. But at the time, I was like, Everclear's going soft.
But it's really sad and harsh. But musically, it's all, you know.
Yeah, it is.
It's deceptive. But the lyrics are as hard as the guitars on Sparkle and Fade. That was my whole thing. But if you still have a part of you that likes the big guitars, you're gonna like this new record, dude, for sure.
Well, we look forward to that, Art. We'll have to have you on again at around the time the single drops, and we look forward to seeing you this June in Hampton Beach, New Hampshire, and the House of Blues in Boston. That's Art Alexakis of Everclear joining us here on WXBR. Art, any final words for our listeners before I let you go?
No, man. Thank you for having me on this morning, and all my best to everybody. And please come out and check out the tour if you get a chance. I guarantee you'll have a great time. And that's what it's all about, is having fun, entertainment. Take a beer.
That's Art Alexakis of Everclear joining us here on WXBR. We will step aside for a quick break. Mike Pava brings us a local news update. Stick with us.